permission is not required. Cultural association is not ownership. Flint West reporting. Should white women be allowed to wear braids? Let me tell you something about that question. It sounds simple, clean, harmless even. Yes or no. But buried inside that question is an assumption, a dangerous one, that someone, somewhere, has the authority to grant permission. Who exactly is doing the allowing? A council? A culture committee? A historical tribunal handing out aesthetic licenses? Because the moment you ask, should they be allowed, you've already accepted the premise that expression requires approval. And that's where the whole thing collapses. Let's step back. What are we actually talking about? Hair, not land, not patents, not intellectual property. Hair, a physical expression, a styling choice, something you do to your own body. Now zoom out further. Braids? They didn't emerge from a single source. They weren't invented in a lab, stamped with a logo and filed under ownership. Braids show up everywhere. Africa, yes, but also Europe, Asia, indigenous cultures across continents. Different patterns, different meanings, same underlying technique. So now the question becomes, at what point does association become ownership? And the answer is, it doesn't. See, people confuse three things all the time: association, ownership, permission. They treat them like they're interchangeable. They're not. Just because a group is associated with something, historically, culturally, symbolically, doesn't mean they own it. And if they don't own it, they cannot grant or deny permission. Let's test the logic. Tattoos. If someone tattoos Arabic script on their arm, do they need approval from Arabic speakers? If someone uses Japanese kanji, do they need cultural clearance? Of course not, because language, symbols, aesthetics, they are part of the shared human canvas, not gated assets. Clothing. Take the niqab, deeply associated with certain Islamic traditions, carries meaning, identity, context, but is it owned? No. A person can wear it for religion, for privacy, for fashion, for anonymity. You might interpret it differently depending on who wears it, but interpretation is not ownership. Makeup, Japanese white powder, geisha aesthetics, recognizable, cultural, specific, but again, not owned, no registry, no patent, no exclusivity. Piercings, hair dye, wigs, straightening, curling, extensions. We could run this list all day, and every time the same conclusion appears. These are expressions, not property. This content is brought to you by Bobby Gigs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. Now here's where people push back. They say, yeah, but some things are sacred. And that's true. Some expressions carry deep meaning inside a culture, ceremonial weight, historical significance. But here's the distinction. Sacred does not mean owned. It means meaningful. And meaning invites respect, not enforcement. You can criticize, you can educate, you can say this carries weight, but you cannot say you are not allowed. Because the moment you move from meaning to control, you're no longer preserving culture. You're trying to govern expression. And that's the real issue. This isn't about braids. It's about whether culture becomes a closed system or remains an open exchange. Because culture has never been static. It moves, it blends, it borrows, it evolves. Trade routes didn't just move goods, they moved aesthetics. Migration didn't just move people, it moved identity. Everything you think of as pure culture is already a remix. So when someone asks, should white women be allowed to wear braids? What they're really asking is, can cultural association justify gatekeeping? And the answer is no. Now let's tighten the framework. There are only a few real limits on expression. Legal ownership, like trademarks, patents, rarely relevant here. Harmful intent, mockery, deception, targeting. Practical constraints, safety, identification, environment. Outside of that, expression is open, by default. And here's the part people don't like hearing. You are free to express, and others are free to react. Those are two different systems. You don't need permission to wear something, but you don't control how it's received. That's not a contradiction. That's the balance. So let's bring it all the way back. The question was, should white women be allowed to wear braids? And the answer is embedded in the flaw. Allowed by who? No one owns braids. No one owns hair. No one owns the right to decide who gets to express what, based solely on cultural proximity. Because once you accept that logic, you don't just gatekeep braids, you gatekeep everything. Language, clothing, art, identity. You turn culture into a series of locked rooms and start handing out keys based on ancestry. That's not preservation, that's restriction. So here's the final position. Cultural association does not create ownership. Without ownership, there is no authority. And without authority, there is no permission to grant. You don't need permission. You never did. Flint West signing off.